And as many as 25 nations have signed on to Trump's Board of Peace, according to Witkoff. Trump could potentially chair the Board of Peace for life. $1 billion contributions are voluntary, according to the U.S. officials. Pakistan to join the Board of Peace to support the Gaza peace plan. And about 60% of Kyiv is without power as Russian strikes shatter that grid. Ukraine endures a bitter winter after Russian attacks as peace efforts are overshadowed. And another train crash in Spain, killing one person days after the fatal high speed collision. Part found near Spain's trash site may be missing undercarriage, experts are saying. And Spain's rail network is under scrutiny after that second deadly crash in as many days. Trump is blaming Norway for the Nobel snub as Greenland fight grows. And definitely that's something that folks are talking about as well. So there's a lot of conversation around this whole thing with Greenland and what's going on in that space. And of course, we'll be bringing up other things around the world and in the news as well. Uh, Chongli Scott Dow, a Hmong immigrant and U.S. citizen, has been arrested by ICE. So ICE broke into a Minnesota home, forcing a barely clothed man outside into the snow. So definitely that's something that people are talking about in terms of ICE and what it's doing. Central New York is bracing for dangerous cold. Wind chills in that area could hit minus 20 degrees. Arctic blast to bring dangerously cold sub-zero conditions to the eastern states. There's even talk here in North Carolina of there being something like 7 inches of snow being dropped on this area. So we'll see whether that happens or not. And Michelle Tafio, a longtime sportscaster, has launched a Republican bid for U.S. Senate in Minnesota. So the former Sunday Night Football reporter launches her Minnesota Senate bid with NRSC's support. So definitely that's something that folks will be talking about, and she's going to try to get that seat. Lindsey Halligan leaves post as U.S. attorney after judges' sharp criticism. So Lindsey Halligan deports Justice Department hours after the Trump-appointed federal judge calls her leadership a charade. So that's something that folks are talking about as well. And the 3.8 pay raise for air traffic controllers, Education Department cuts rejected, and all in that way. So Congress releases massive funding bill ahead of shutdown deadline as ice clash looms. So looks like we might be heading to another shutdown. And New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill immediately asked to freeze utility rates. So that's what she did on her first day. On day one, she focused on utility costs and children's safety. So that was what she did with some of her executive orders and all along those lines. So, like I said, there's a lot of wintry weather heading our way and all in that space. So, it ought to be interesting to see what folks have to say about the wintry weather as it heads in their direction. Brown Center scholars reflect on education after 1 year of the Trump administration, according to the Brookings investigations and $1 billion shakedown. And it looks like Trump might be targeting some of the higher education institutions in Trump 2.0 and all in that way. So definitely a lot's going on that way. And the Supreme Court is questioning the constitutionality of the Hawaii gun law. So race looms large in gun rights arguments in the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court doubts the constitutionality of Hawaii's default ban on guns on private property that's open to the public. So the Supreme Court seems skeptical of the Hawaii limits on carrying guns. And Hochul's $260 billion budget proposal includes no new taxes. So definitely simmering tax hike debate thickens between Hochul and Mamdani. So Hochul unveiled a $260 billion New York budget that avoids raising taxes. And in social news, Usher Vance is pregnant with her fourth child. So JD Vance and Second Lady Usher Vance are expecting their fourth child, as apparently Second Lady Usher Vance is making history yet again. So definitely they're announcing that pregnancy, and that part of that history may be, I don't know how many pregnancies there have been in the White House and all along those lines, but that would be an interesting thing for me to have Rick look up. So I think Rick's with me and all in that space. So we've got Rick Rosner with me, and I've also got Dr. Sharif with me, and I've got my friend Jan Cromartie, who does a lot around military and stuff like that, that's with us as well. So, Rick, what are you hearing? Are you hearing that there's a lot of pregnancies that have been in the White House? And you're actually on mute, but if you're hearing that there's been a lot of pregnancies that have been in the White House? Because they said that she may be.
There have been a few, but let me look it up.
Look it up and see what's going on there. How you doing, Dr. Sharif? What's happening in your parts of the world over there in Bangladesh?
Thank you. Thank you. Lot of good thing happening in Asia. Many good things happen. I see from Bangladesh perspective, we have election next month, 12th February. People are very excited because after 17 years, or 15 years or something, people are ready to go for their utilizing their voting power. And I want to give special thanks to all of the youth based on your sacrifice. It's a serious sacrifice because almost 2,000 youth died because of this democracy and democratic system. And I will invite through this podcast to all of the Western world, you should support these youth communities and their sacrifice and all of the things. Secondly, in terms of economy, I want to say that I'm very excited because of last 15 years of my journey, what I inventing, developing, engaging with the communities. So I'm ready to publishing my Silk Route 3.0, my book. And definitely I want to invite all like the Rick Rosner, Mark Lees, Jen, our new friends, all of you to join in our ecosystem and how we can work as a team. No more war, no more global tension, what we are observing in World Economic Forum. They have lot of tensions like American president come, this French president come, and all of the people come with lot of tensions and political diplomacy, with tariff, with immigration issues, with Iceland issues, this Greenland and Iran issues. It's actually create a lot of problem for this world. So better we collaborate together with global North and global South, and we engaging with the community, make a more open world, make the new world, and make all of the things. So through this economy and political diplomacy, with this modern science, engineering, and technology, with media is very important factors, and with youth revolutions, I believe that a lot of good things will happen next this century in Asia. So that is the important point, and that is good point for World Talent Economic Forum and for Pod TV. Those who are very new, but they have positive contribution for this world.
So I looked it up for you, and Usha Vance is the first pregnant second lady in the history of the White House. Okay. There have been two pregnancies from wives of presidents. Frances Cleveland, Grover Cleveland's wife, had a baby in 1893. That's kind of a weird deal. He was her guardian. I think she was an orphan. And as she grew up, I guess she grew up to be super hot. And he's like, well, I have to marry this lady, which he did. And then, he passed away. She was still fairly young, so she had a whole second life. And then Jackie Kennedy had a baby who only lived 2 days in 1963.
Oh, wow. That's sad and everything. I know that in my own family, my mom and her sisters had a death in the family that was similar. It was a crib death. I don't know how long Baby Lee lived, but it wasn't that long and everything like that, because he was definitely, but that would have been in probably the probably the 40s or the 50s or somewhere around that time that he would have been here in this earth and all along those lines. But yeah, that is a sad thing. By the way, Rick, did you walk out on and join the nationwide walkout? Because apparently there was a Free America walkout. I'd actually heard about this because I'd gotten a email about it from one of my.
I'm lazy. I went to the remember in 2016, 2017, they had the Pussy Hat protests. I think that was the last protest I went to.
Well, I went to one of the No Kings rallies last year and everything like that. But yeah, this one was called the Free America Walkout, and it brought protesters to downtown Columbus and bitter cold. It also was nationwide. Apparently drew thousands into the streets on the anniversary of Trump's inauguration, because yesterday was actually the anniversary of Trump's inauguration. So we're now in the beginning of the year too, and everything like that. So protesters marked it with rallies around the country.
It's hard to shut down America. Like in France and England, you get a couple million people out on the street protesting, striking. You can shut down the country. We're too big. It would take what, maybe 20 million people on the streets of America to really shut things down, and it's tough to rally 20 million people.
Yeah, it's hard to rally, and I mean, maybe they could shut down one or two major cities, but it would be hard to shut down the entire country because you'd have to do it even in some rural areas which aren't that populated and everything like that. So yeah, it'd be very hard to do in that sense and all in those lines. By the way, the Trump administration is conceding that Doge team may have misused Social Security data. So they're conceding that data could have been misused and everything like that. And I know that Elon Musk was big on Doge and everything like that, but I'm wondering what your thoughts around this are. And by the way, Elon Musk floats the idea of buying Ryanair after calling the CEO of that particular business an idiot. So I guess he was thinking that he might want to buy this particular company and all along those lines. But what do you think?
My thoughts are that if you're a billionaire, you think of yourself very highly. You're like, I got my billions because I'm super smart. And there's a phrase, there's a name for some of these people that I like, which is smart stupids, where people who through luck and skill have maybe made a ton of money, but they think they're smart in all areas, and they're not. And so maybe the CEO of Ryanair is an idiot, but the guy calling him an idiot is also himself an idiot in a lot of areas, as seen by Doge, which was like a shotgun approach to reducing the size of government and actually increased the cost of government. So if you talk to David Walker, who hosts Economics Monday, right, he will tell you, who was the Comptroller General of the U.S., he'll tell you there's a right way to reduce the size of government and there's a dumb way that doesn't work. And under Clinton, the size of government was reduced by 40%, but it was done gradually over several years, using experts instead of 21-year-olds nicknamed big balls. And they did it the right way. And Clinton was the last person to balance the federal budget, to create a government that actually spent less money than it brought in.
Yep, that makes sense and everything. Speaking of world news, because it is the world news show and everything like that, and Shaquille's not here and not been here for a while, but apparently Australia has shut down dozens of beaches because in 48 hours they had 4 shark attacks. So after 4 shark attacks in 48 hours, they shut down their beaches because apparently there's a cluster of sharks that are not that pleased with humans, and I guess they're going after them because they had 4 shark attacks in Australia in 3 days, and beachgoers are urged to just go to some of the local outlets that aren't as shark infested and everything.
So yeah, this is Australia's summer. January in Australia is like July for us. So right, yeah, there must be a bunch of people at the beach getting chomped
at because the sharks are saying, like, wait a minute, y'all are interrupting our playground and all along those lines. So maybe that's what's going on. We're interrupting Mother Nature as we oftentimes do, and sometimes Mother Nature is not all that pleased and lets us know that it's not that pleased. It looks like there is life imprisonment for the man who killed Japan's ex-prime minister Shinzo Abe. So the man who assassinated the former Japan leader with a homemade gun was sentenced to life in prison. So that's what he got for killing that particular world leader and all along those lines. Jacoby, I see you're with us as well and everything. Did you do something to rig that plane? Because apparently Trump had to go back to Davos temporarily because there was a electrical malfunction on the plane of Air Force One. So I guess it was a malfunction and he had to turn around. And we know that there have been other times that there have been malfunctions and people have had to turn around as well. So what is your thoughts around this and what he did in Davos? Because he's been in Davos and all along those lines, and currently he's blamed Norway for the Nobel snub, and he's still talking that stuff about Greenland, even though he did say that Greenland was not on the table in terms of a military attack, even though the folks in Greenland don't necessarily buy his words because they are preparing, even though he's saying he's ruling out military action on Greenland. So what's your take on his having to turn back around and whatever he said at Davos?
Well, the turn back around thing doesn't really matter. What he said in Davos was really bad. He went on his rambling speech, like it was a campaign speech, blaming Biden, blaming all the other stuff. He deserved this. It was the same gripes. And then yes, he went on Greenland, but yeah, he has no credibility when he says that he's not going to use military force. He's done that before. He told Iran, I'm not going to use military force, and then they use military force. What happened in Venezuela? I mean, you have him claiming, "Oh no, I'm not going to do this," and then turn around and doing that. So he has no credibility there. But yeah, he's basically blowing up NATO. Putin is extremely happy that he's blowing up NATO, and he is literally made all of made the U.S. enemies to their allies. It's pretty bad. So now we're pretty much isolated. I know this whole peace thing that he said that he's trying to put together, which is his, I guess, instead of doing NATO, you're going to have to join this whole peace coalition that he's trying to build, where you have to join for $1 billion. That is basically, hey, look, we're going to give this to Jared Kushner to do some building. It's just a money grab, trying to force all these other countries to pay him money. But either way, the people that have joined that group are all corrupt individuals. He's asking, I think it was the leader of Belarus has just said that he's going to join. Yeah, he's an authoritarian, corrupt individual. I mean, you got all these people that are all bad that are wanting to join the peace thing, and he's saying this is a peace thing. It's not. It's just a money grab. That's all it is.
One big money grab.
Among the stuff that Trump said during this speech, he said that Germany took over Greenland in only 6 hours during World War II. This is complete garbage. They did not. Germany set up a couple secret weather stations on the east coast of Greenland. Those guys were found by the Allies and captured, and Denmark was taken over, which at the time owned Greenland, was taken over by the Nazis. So the U.S. and the other allies, Greenland became a protectorate. And by the end of World War II, the U.S. had 17 military bases all across Greenland. And we still have the right under treaty to do that again. If we want to set up 25 bases, Greenland would be happy to have us.
I mean, the whole thing is a bogus, again, money grab. He started in his speech saying that, hey, they have these these not really rare earth minerals. It's rare to get them, but it rambled on about that, and then talked about how they wanted to develop Greenland and all this stuff because, it's just a sheet of ice, but we could develop it and make it profitable for Europe. No, this is a money grab. He's telling you that this is what he's doing. The same thing in Venezuela. He's stolen the oil. That's all he did. He didn't change anything in Venezuela. He just changed leadership. That's all it is. He just put himself at the head of Venezuela instead of Maduro. But he still has the same group.
Typically of Trump, hold on. Typically of Trump, it's a money grab, but it's an incompetent money grab. So Greenland has issued 140 mining licenses. Only 2 are being used because it's such a bitch to dig through a mile of glacier to get at anything. So yeah, Greenland will happily, you offer Greenland 20 grand, say, can I come dig in Greenland? Greenland like, yeah, give me a little bit of money and sure, come do it. And then you do a little bit of research and you find out it's going to cost so much more to try to get at anything that only 1.5% of their mining licenses are being used.
And it was when he kept going, he was talking about how, because he said that the oil companies are going to develop Venezuela. He's saying that he already said the same thing in the speech about Greenland, that the oil companies were always blocked out. And so he's literally doing the job of the oil companies because he's going to get paid. And just to get back to, I forgot the one thing about the peace, that peace group that he's trying to make. I don't know if you guys heard, but he's trying to make himself the head of that. That's already written into the actual. And then, no, what's even worse, once he leaves his presidency, guess who's still the head of that?
No, it said he would be the head for life. It said that he would be the head for life.
Yes. So again, this has and then he himself gets to appoint whoever is his successor. So nothing to do with peace, nothing to do with anything but a money grab. That's all it is. That's all it cares about.
Jovi, speaking of money grabs, is there some sort of money grab involved with this handing over of prisoners that were apparently cartel members? Because apparently that's something that the Mexico president has agreed to, is to send certain amounts of cartel folks here for prosecution. But I'm wondering if they didn't get some sort of money deal in order to hand them over and all along those lines. But we do have some cartel folks that will be coming here for trial as part of the war on drugs that is supposedly out there and everything. So what is your take on that? Is that another form of a money grab where maybe he's sending Mexico a certain amount of money and all along those lines?
He doesn't care about drugs or the drug war. He doesn't care about that. So there has to be some sort of exchange where he's getting something out of it. For example, the reason, again, I say he released the Honduran president, one of the biggest drug lords in the world. He just recently, he pardoned the son of, I think it was a South Carolina senator, or I think it was a South Carolina rep, either senator rep, one of them. But either way, he pardoned the son. Guess what the son was in jail for?
Correct.
Care about drugs or anything like that? All bogus. It's all about Trump. And people who fell for it, they fell hard for it.
Well, speaking of people falling hard for stuff, and I know you said that you not been to a protest in a while, Rick, and everything, but we had the walkout that I mentioned. But on January 23rd, which is in 2 days, that's on Friday, clergy and faith leaders are calling on people not to shop, go to work, or school on January 23rd in Minnesota. So they're actually acting activists in that area because of ICE to not work, not go to school, or go shopping. So basically they have a walkout of all things and all along those lines. And this is being called for by the clergy and faith leaders. So will that have any impact on
I doubt it. You know, whatever they do, the administration will lie about it and saying in Minnesota, the wind chill is like -18. People aren't doing a ton of stuff. I mean, they are. People are protesting. They're going out in this horrible cold. But in terms of tearing down the state, and they need to send in 2 battalions of army no, it's all bullshit. And this walkout, they will say a bunch of bullshit about it.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll say a bunch of BS about it, and they'll downplay the numbers like we were talking about yesterday with the professor from Arizona, because apparently students at Fort Omaha, which is in Nebraska, high school staged to walk out, and this is all in response to immigration, and they did it also where I went to school back in Milwaukee. So there was a massive protest yesterday about to protest ICE, and there was also some at some Chicago suburban high schools. But I'm sure that they will downplay the numbers and say that it was just a few isolated students, or that the students were paid, or a number of other things that we've even heard on this network as well, where people are saying that it is not authentic protest, but it is protest where they are making a quick money grab of their own and everything like that. But what is your thoughts? Because we've even heard that here on this network, where people have said that these are paid operatives.
No, it's just they have a, sometimes I'll either on purpose or accidentally turn on Fox News, and Adam Carolla used to have a game he played, which is how many seconds to accordion on a radio show. He'd turn on a Mexican song, and the game was like, how many seconds until somebody's playing an accordion? And there's a similar game you can play with Fox News is how many seconds until somebody tells you some bullshit, and it's steady. And whatever we do, they've got a whole, they've got a lie that it's like a judo move. It uses any kind of momentum we have against us, at least in the minds of gullible idiots and older people who are losing their marbles, who are our Fox viewers.
Well, speaking of people losing their marbles, we got Jan Cromartie coming up, and I've got some things that he might want to bring up as well. But before we get to that, we've got this whole notion of gun rights and everything. So what are you hearing? You're not that far from it, Rick, in terms of this default ban on guns on private property that's open to the public, because we do know that there are some private properties that are open to the public and everything like that. And it seems to me that you would want a ban on guns on those properties. But apparently,
so who's saying this? I'm not familiar.
The Supreme Court seems skeptical of Hawaii's limits on carrying guns. So apparently this is all going before the Supreme Court, and there are some people that are saying that they are sympathetic to the gun owners' challenge to the Hawaiian law and everything like that. So there's this notion that they should be able to carry guns in Hawaii if they're going to a private property that's also, I guess, open to the public as well. So, the Hawaii law bans people from carrying firearms on private property open to the public unless they have the owner's consent and everything like that. So the Supreme Court.
Well, the problem is the Second Amendment, which is underwritten. When they couldn't get everything right, the founding fathers, and it's too general and too subject to interpretation. If the founding fathers had known that we would have guns that can shoot 2 bullets a second until the clip of 100 bullets, they would have made the language more precise.
Yeah, that makes sense. They would have made it more precise and all along those lines. Jan, you've got stuff going on in your world as well.
Well, I was just going to say right before.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the problem with the guns is more so that we've turned it into a religion than in anything. And because it's religion, we cannot have any rational discussion around it. People become very hypersensitive about it. It becomes just a war of hyperbole rather than any rational ideas or solutions for the problems that we have around guns.
Apparently, this particular case is revolving around race, because it says that, I just found the article in Politico, as the Supreme Court debated the constitutionality Tuesday of a Hawaii law that restricts people from carrying guns in some public places. The subject turned again and again to race, specifically laws passed just after the Civil War aimed at preventing newly freed Black Americans, African Americans, from possessing firearms. The justice traded thinly veiled accusations of hypocrisy over the relevance of the 19th century black codes to the current fight over the constitutionality of a law that makes it illegal to take a gun into a business without the owner's consent. So to defend the law Hawaii enacted roughly 3 years ago, the state invoked an 1865 statute from Louisiana that required express consent before bringing a firearm into someone else's property, a measure that Louisiana officials admitted was aimed at formerly enslaved people. So apparently this whole notion, and even conservative Justice Neil Gorsuch said he was shocked to see people who considered themselves progressives on racial issues seize on the racist law to advance the case for gun control today. I understand a lot of people like to cite the black code to promote gun restrictions, otherwise they would be garlic in front of a vampire in front of them. But here they like them, they embrace them, and I'm really interested in why. So he put it in that. He put it in that kind
Hello.
of. Yeah, we hear you, Jan.
Can you hear me now?
We hear you. Yeah, we hear you, Jan.
Yes, what my concern is, and as me serving in the United States Navy, the United States cannot seize another country. It's illegal, and unilaterally we not seize a sovereign nation territory like Greenland. Such an action would be a severe violation of U.S. domestic law and international law, including the United Nations Charter and the North Atlantic Treaty. Now, what this means is legal international framework. U.S. Constitution grants the power to declare war to Congress, not the president alone. The president can use military force in self-defense or in an emergency, but an unprovoked invasion of a non-hostile allied nation would not fall under these exceptions. Furthermore, international law, the United Nations Charter explicitly prohibits the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. Territory cannot be acquired through force in modern international law. An invasion would constitute an act of aggression, a supreme crime under international law. One or two others, NATO alliance. Greenland is a territory with the Kingdom of Denmark, a NATO ally. An attack on Denmark's territory would potentially trigger Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty, which states that an armed attack against one member is considered an attack against all. Lastly, sovereignty and self-determination. Greenland has self-governance, and its future status can only be decided by its own people. Danish and Greenlandese officials have repeatedly stated that Greenland is not for sale. So I wanted to share that with you all. It's like he kidnapping other countries. I think he said something about Colombia or Canada. I'm not for sure, but I just wanted to share that with the panel.
I appreciate that and
He
everything.
did say that about actually both of those two countries. Because remember, he posted not only an artist rendition or an AI image, but then also a photo of him sitting at the Resolute desk with a picture of North America with all U.S. flags on top of it. So yeah, he said that also about Colombia taking what he did in Venezuela. He said he was going to do that to the Colombian president. So yeah, this man is out of control, completely out of control.
He also called Greenland Iceland 4 times yesterday. You know, if Biden had done that, Jake Tapper would be writing another book.
And then we had a whole other book about his state of mentality and everything. We were talking about guns earlier, and Uvalde was back in the news, Rick, because apparently there's a trial about the officer, and prosecutors are saying the officer arrived before the gunman entered the building back in 2022, and we know that was one of those infamous school shootings and all along those lines. So there is the defense is rested in that case, and now they're having closing arguments that'll begin today. So we'll see if there's any consequences to having gotten there possibly in time to stop the attack.
I think they got there and waited 17 minutes to breach the building because they were scared because the guy had a semi-auto rifle. And yeah, that's dereliction of duty. So yeah, we will see.
Okay. I apologize, guys. I'm heavily into local politics. Mm-hmm. We got politics going with farms and many other political activities. So I'm gonna have to tune out any time now. It's always great to be a part of such incomparable panel outside of Mark Lee, the Marquette man. Yeah, you know I can put that in there, Mark.
I knew you did. We're not doing that great. Even though
I was in Milwaukee, guys, working a campaign, and I went over at Marquette. It's okay, but it ain't all that. So I'm getting ready to get off line because politically here, Mark knows what's going on, and I'm heavy in the politics on the local level. You guys have a good evening. Always a pleasure.
You do the same.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so what is our take on the gun control issues and all along those lines? Because like I said, that is definitely something that we've been hearing a lot about and everything like that. So what's our take on whether we're doing enough to control the guns of the country? Because like you said, Rick, there's so many guns in the world, it's not funny.
Well, we are not doing enough.
We're about a year away from having 500 million guns in America.
Wow.
2 guns for every adult American. Of course, only a third of Americans live in gun-owning households. So gun-owning households, I mean, well, they like guns. Most gun-owning households are perfectly law-abiding, and they probably use them safely. But if you like guns, you might have 6 guns for different purposes. You know, rifles, shotguns, pistols, depending on, you know, if you're going hunting, if you're doing home defense. But yeah, you want to have gun locks. You want to have gun cases that are lockable. Though if you try to legislate having your guns locked down, the NRA will say that's gun control.
Well, there's gun control, but there's also separation of church and state. And apparently, Texas and Louisiana 10 Commandment laws are facing constitutional challenges because Texas is going to try to defend the law requiring 10 Commandments in the classroom. And definitely they'll see how this plays out in the appeals court, which then may eventually make it to the Supreme Court. But what is our thoughts around the 10 Commandments being in the school system? Because apparently this is something
It's unconstitutional. It goes against the First Amendment. When you're throwing the 10 Commandments into a public school, it's a public school system, which means that it's sponsored by the state. The state cannot have a sponsored religion. So therefore, it's establishing Christianity as a religion based on those 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments aren't in any Hindu books, any Muslim books. It's establishing one religion dominant over the other, which goes against the Constitution.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. So,
but it's also one more little thing that just adds to Trump exhaustion and political exhaustion and distracts people from more important issues. Yeah, it's a constitutional violation, but like the way the frickin' Republicans in Texas and Trump in the White House, they just throw everything at the wall. And they keep you demoralized and distracted. And it's hard to tell, what you can do and what you should give a shit about. The whole trans thing, we've talked about it a bunch where, high school trans athletes, the case that went to the Supreme Court revolved around 2 athletes out of all the kids in West Virginia and Idaho.
The scary part about what they're doing with the whole 10 Commandments thing, which falls in line with the whole white nationalist and the Christian white nationalist, that death rattle that's been happening, but been stopped because of what Trump has been doing. But that is what it falls in line with, because everything you just stated, Rick, about attacking and demonizing the trans community based on one individual that you're attacking. It's the same thing. When you establish one religion dominant above others, then no other religion is welcome. And then that's why you get those Christian white nationalists that sit here and yell at other individuals and other religions and other people that have melanin in their skin. This is a Christian nation. Why are there Muslims here? This is a Christian nation. Why is this group here? That's what happened when J.D. Vance didn't want to stand up for his own wife at one of those rallies that they had, because that's what it's about. That's what the Texas law is. That's all it's doing.
Yeah,
but,
hold on a second. Wait. We're not a Christian nation. A lot of the founding fathers were deists. And I think, now I don't know for sure, but
we were founded against any established religion. Hence the reason the First Amendment is there.
Yeah, but
that's what we were actually, the individuals that came over here were running from religious persecution.
Yeah,
so therefore,
that's the whole thing around the Puritans. For those that are watching and don't know the term and everything, I've got an idea what you're talking about. What were theists and what were their beliefs, Rick, and everything like that? Because some people,
I think a deist, and I don't know, I haven't looked up the definition. I think they believe there's a God, but they're not going to build their lives around him. They're just, God created the world, but we don't really know how it worked, and we're just going to go on from that and try to do real world stuff instead of build a kingdom of heaven on earth.
Yeah, that makes sense and everything. Hey, Dr. Sharif, I know that you brought it up before and everything along those, but on a stage, also national stage here in the U.S., but how concerned are you about Islamophobia? Definitely, we hear a lot of people that are concerned that the Muslims don't get the respect that they need and deserve and everything like that. But I just wondering, as a world leader, because you are a world leader and everything, your thoughts around Islamophobia and whether it is a global problem.
Look, if you ask me, I practice Islam. Yes, I practice it. If you ask me, I have a friends from different religion. Yes, there is Rick Rosner from Jewish community, Jatovi from other community, you from other communities, and all of you are my friend. So actually, in politics, I always say that how politicians become powerful in today's world. They love to sell hate, and then they become very powerful. So it's very easy. You can say that, hey, Sharif is black, Sharif is Muslim, so I do not like him. He is a terrorist. But it's difficult. Hey, I want to understand Sharif, and I want to be his friend, and maybe with a team we can make some good things together. This is very difficult and hard. So the easy things, selling hate. So that is the things all of the politicians are doing. So Islamophobia is something definitely I hate. If any Muslim kills any Jewish, any Christian, that is not the way of doing things. I hate these things. But Muslim community is a very big, around 2 billion people, the Muslim communities. And for USA, business and trade, and even Western world for business, trade, and all of the things, they need Muslim community. They need Muslim world help. So all of the Muslim are not bad. There is more opportunities, and also the same way I get a lot of good friends like today's session from different culture and different communities, and they are very open-minded. I find Jewish community has many open-minded, Christian has open-minded people. So this world has a lot of good people. So I want to focus on these things. If someone believe in Islamophobia and others, I think it's completely their personal opinion, but I do not believe these things. Every religion has good people. Every religion has good people.
No, I agree with you, Dr. Sharif, and I know that on your show, the World Economic Talent Forum, you've got people that are definitely of different beliefs. Like you said, you've got people on there that are of Hindu faith, Jewish faith, Christian faith. I think you've even had some people that were, and I'm trying to think of the name of the belief system, but they're the ones that believe a lot in science, and that science is kind of the controlling factor, and there is a term for it. It's not theist, but the term is not coming to me. But I know that one of your gentlemen is a big believer in science as being kind of like the leading religious cause, and all along those lines, for lack of a better term. And you know what I'm talking about, but I just can't think of the name or the name of the religion off the top of my head, or the belief
there's
system.
Agnosticism, where you're like, yeah, maybe there's God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the gentleman that comes on all the time, Dr. Sharif, that has
there's Unitarianism, which is I don't know what the heck they believe, but yeah, there's all different flavors of from heavy Catholicism, if you want super Jesus all the time, or fundamentalism or evangelical, to Christianity light, which is like Unitarianism, where we're mostly just trying to be cool and not be assholes in the world.
Yeah, no doubt about that. There's all of that going on. There was a lighter story, while I try to remember that religion and all along those lines. But there was a lighter story that I wanted to get to, and I want to hear y'all's thoughts about this, because this is coming in New Jersey, and it has to do with education. But apparently there is a form of writing that's making a comeback. They're actually going to have it as a part of their New Jersey schools, because they're saying New Jersey schools now must teach it in grades 3 through 5. So how many people are here that write cursive? Because apparently in New Jersey, cursive is going to make a comeback. And if it makes a comeback nationwide, that could be quite interesting, because like I said, not everybody's the best cursive writer, but again, not everybody's got the best handwriting in general and everything. But what is our thoughts about cursive returning to classrooms under a new state law? Because this is going to be a state law and everything like that.
A waste of time. A freaking teach kids to print neatly. I haven't used cursive in 30 years, but I can print neatly, and then people understand what I if I hand somebody a note, they can read it.
Yep. What's your thoughts around that? Do you have a lot of your students using cursive, Dr. Sharif, or are they just writing very well established print and everything like that, like Rick was talking about. What if you, or maybe they're just typing their papers and everything and barely writing at all in the sense of the traditional writing and everything like that. So how are most of your students handling their term papers?
Yeah, this is very good point. Very, very good point. That is the area that our education can improve. You bring very important point, because I'm observing few of universities, they actually cancel the utilizing the chat GPTs, utilizing AI in their exam. And some of the students, they try to utilize it and they fail in the exam. I do not think in that way. I believe that AI should be a very good tool for student, and we should give them opportunity like open book exam. Even I give a student opportunity to attend in the open book exam, and I prefer to build up project for the student, because most of the student learn what they do, right? Learning the theories and everything is not a good way. So that's why with one of the projects we are running, it's called SkitTree, with Australia, with IIT Madras, and with my World Talent Economic Forum. So we say that the education institution right now, they should go for 20% theory and 80% should be practical activities like project development, like startup development, company development. Let's say what you are doing in podcast. We enjoy the podcast, we come up with the different idea and other things, and I try to apply these things, what I'm learning from the podcast. So this should be the modern educations. This is the way people will learn. We have to go for group study and others. So the education institutions of Bangladesh, even in South Asia, they have to go for more advanced level thinkings. And I believe we need to train the academicians of Bangladesh for that particular issues, for AI and other things. Many things I disagree, but students should learn new technology, should learn AI, and they have to understand how to manage it. So that is the thing I strongly.
Dr. Sharif, I just remembered it's a gentleman that you have on the show, on your regular show, that is a humanist. That's the religion that I was trying to remember and everything. So it's a gentleman that you have regularly on your show who is a member and a believer in humanism. So like I said, I don't know if you remember which one that is, or you may even have a couple people that believe in humanism, but that's the person I was trying to remember. Is you have a regular guest that is a big believer in humanism.
Yeah, no, I understand, but you have to bring different perspectives, different peoples and different believers, right, to take the right kind of decisions. That is not an issue from my side. I said I have a friend from different perspective, but definitely I love technology. I want to engage with technology. I'm a big fan of technology. Even I build up different kind of software for my community, for healthcare, for education, for wisdom creation and all of the things. And I'm getting great success for this process. But bringing different idea, different framework, different methods, different things is very important.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Rick, I saw two interesting polls. One that was last year and everything, and this comes down to science and religion. But apparently last year in the summer, it was reported that 1 in 4 Americans rejected evolution a century after the Scopes monkey trial, and that apparently that spotlighted the class.
Yeah, that's always been the case. 1 in 4 is actually pretty good. But the trouble is with social media, all the lunatics, all the flat earthers can get together and rev each other up. If you were an anti-evolutionist in the 50s, you had to do your recruiting by mail, because even to get on the phone with somebody might cost you 50 cents a minute, which was a lot of money. You had to pay for long distance, like you whippersnappers, you people who are 30, 40 years old, you don't remember how scared it made your parents if you wanted to dial somebody long distance because they might get a $3 phone bill.
Well, there was those party lines, and you get on those party lines for a decent amount of time, and yeah, that might run up your phone bill. So yes, they were very much scared.
Yeah, party lines. That's where a lot of homes couldn't even afford to have their own phone number. They had to share a phone number with like 2 other houses.
Yep, and then those party lines that you could call that you might wind up talking for hours on hours, and then you get slapped with that bill that you were talking about. Those are the party lines I was referring to. Coming back to Trump and all along those lines, as we get ready to wind up this show and everything, apparently his approval ratings, you'll be glad to know, has taken a massive hit. So in the year two, they are saying that a lot of folks, including his own base, are not that happy with him and everything like that. So he took a big dip in terms of his approval rating and everything like that. So they are saying that Trump's overall job approval and his number on handling the economy and immigration have slid according to recent polls and everything like that. So he's taken a big polling hit. His approval rating only a few months into his second term is 47% in a March poll, and that's well below his.
If you look at the various polls, his approval 38, 46, 40, 41, 40, 40. But it has peeled away some Republicans. 58 members of the House and Senate say they're not running for re-election, which is the highest in history. These are people who look at politics and look at their chances and are like, all right, I'm out of here. Maybe I'll run for. Some of these people are quitting to run for governor, where, but it's a bellwether for what is going to happen in the midterms, where the Dems will almost certainly take over the House.
So it looks like he's fallen on a lot of issues.
Well,
People are not happy with his economy stance. They're not happy with his foreign policy. They're not happy with his policy on a number of issues, including immigration and housing and a number of other things. So it seems like he's got this mindset that he is doing well, but the proof is in the pudding, as the old saying goes, and everything like that.
I can give you the numbers from the poll aggregator, Silver Bulletin. He's 9.5% underwater on immigration. That is 10% more people think he sucks on immigration than thinks he's good. On trade, he's 15.5% down. On the economy, 16% underwater. And on inflation, 25% more people believe he sucks on inflation than is good on inflation.
So he's just doing horrible across the board and all along those lines. What is your thoughts around this? And because, we've got celebrities that have run for office before, whether it was Schwarzenegger in California or even Ronald Reagan in California. And of course, there have been others that have done quite well. Jesse Ventura in Minnesota back in the day and everything like that. Now we've got a sportscaster that's getting ready to run for office. So does Michelle Taliaferro, I think is her name, stand a good chance? And all along those lines, she was.
I don't know, but I now not all celebrities are good candidates, but
it's Michelle Tafoya. No, she's not gonna have a good chance. If I remember, she went towards the conservative side. If I remember.
Yeah, she's more conservative. Yeah, she's
definitely. And the reason she went that way, and also how she went that way, I think upset a lot of people. So if I'm trying to remember the full story around what happened to Michelle Tafoya, but I don't think she's going to do that great.
But it's not necessarily bad. Now, Schwarzenegger wasn't a great governor, but you can't. I mean, it's sometimes good to have a celebrity because they don't have the partisan acrimony. Like if The Rock. If Dwayne Johnson ran for something, it might be okay because a lot people like him. If John Cena ran for something, Dave Bautista, any of these guys, if they governed from the center and if they appointed people around them who weren't idiot yes men, it could be a good thing.
But I think the last person we had from the NFL that ran was Herschel Walker. We know how good he did.
But Herschel Walker was a rapist and a moron, and just bad in all ways.
Yeah, Herschel Walker had a lot of problems. Had a son he didn't even know about.
So Herschel had all kinds of problems going on and everything like that. So
but
definitely,
the trouble is getting a smart celebrity to run is impossible because their smartness makes it look at what they would have to do. If you put a Jimmy Kimmel in there, Jimmy's a freaking genius, which but since he's so smart, he's like, all those people like throw their head. They're like, they just want to stay a million miles away from politics because it is a wretched job.
It is definitely a wretched job, and all along those lines. So, like I said, what celebrities are running? Then we'll get out of here on this note. In Bangladesh, do y'all have actors and actresses that are running for office and all along those lines, or do they stay away from it? So, I know that even in Ukraine, Zelensky was a TV host. So, are there any celebrities that are running for office in Bangladesh?
Bangladesh, all of the celebrities join in politics, from cricket, from media, from NGO, everywhere. So I think politicians are the great celebrities and everything in Bangladesh. So let's join in politics. I do not join in politics. I engage with my solution with politicians, but I never join in politics.
Gotcha.
Zelensky wasn't just a TV host. Before Zelensky was president of Ukraine, he played the president in Ukraine in a sitcom.
Right, he was a sitcom
host. And by playing that part, he learned what the job was and decided he could do a good job. And in fact, he might go down as the greatest president in the history of Ukraine.
He may be like the Jefferson of Ukraine and everything like that, depending on what Ukraine's history and the arc of history says about him and everything like that. But right now, he seems like he's doing well, even though I think there's a call for elections in that part of the world. So he may actually get voted out as well. But we'll see how much his popularity maintains, because there's a number of folks that are, I think, calling, and think even the president of the United States. But then again, he might try to run himself, because I personally think that maybe Trump wants to be president of the world. So he just wants to be president of every country in the world and everything. And Venezuela is just the start. So I think Rick is up.
Just one thing. I want to give thanks for Trump only for one reason. Most of the politicians, they are hypocrite. They said one thing, they do another things. But Trump doing what he said before. He said, okay, he gonna do all of the immigration against policies. He make America first. He do all of the things, and he make it. So American people vote him because he put America first. So it's very bad. Even Bangladesh highly affected by Trump. But one thing, it's my honest opinion, I want to give thanks to Trump. He's not hypocrite. So American people choose him because he want to do all of the right-wing activities.
Yeah, but the U.S. has 800 foreign military bases. We have worldwide reach. We have more foreign bases than any other nation in the history of the world, and Trump is screwing it all up. And that is trying to take over Greenland is not America first. Fighting with the rest of the world and wrecking our economy. The stock market dropped 2% in one day yesterday because of Trump's loud mouth over Greenland.
And there's a lot of people that think that NATO might be broken up and everything like that. And NATO's been around for a while, and the UN and other world organizations may be broken up as well. So we'll see what kind of things take place in that part. But right now, we're getting ready to get out of here. We'll have World Edition again on Thursday, as well as World Politics. But right now, let's get on out of here, and I'll catch you gentlemen later on.